Today, I'm going to be talking about the 6 pillars of self-esteem. And one of the quotes that I really like from the book is that self-esteem is something that is generated from within. It's not something that you obtain from anything that's outside of you. So that's why I'm going to be talking about the 6 pillars of self-esteem and giving you some examples along the way so that you can understand how to apply these lessons. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the first pillar of self-esteem is self-awareness, and that means living consciously, which means that you're putting more focus and awareness on every single thing that you're doing in your daily life. You're not just going through the motions because it's another day in your life. So some questions you can ask yourself are, if I bring 5% more awareness to my activities today, how will I make my life different? If I bring 5% more awareness to my most important relationships, how will I act differently? Living conscious means that you are aware of your thoughts and your emotions, and I think this is the foundation of all the other pillars of self-esteem, because without living consciously, you cannot really take responsibility for yourself or be assertive. So the second layer of self-esteem is self-responsibility. So that means that you are changing the things that you can change and recognizing the things that are not within your own control. So for example, self-responsible person is someone who is solution-oriented and someone who takes personal control over their life. So they recognize that everything in their life is their responsibility, including getting to their goals and becoming the person that they want to become. So self-responsibility is asking, what can I do about it? Asking what actions are possible for me, what needs to be done, and how can I improve my condition? What will be the best use of my energy in this situation? And the ability to think for oneself. So the third pillar of self-esteem is self-assertiveness. Self-assertiveness means you live and express your own values, and you can say that while my life was happening, I was there and I lived it. You're committed to your right to exist and to speak your truth as an individual on this planet, and you recognize that your life does not belong to others. I am not here on earth to live up to anyone's expectations. These are some affirmations that can be really helpful for you if you want to practice self-assertiveness and living for your own values. A lot of people, especially people who grew up in an Asian family, will have these expectations they put on themselves, but they might have been adopted from your parents or from your teachers about how you should behave and what kind of values you should have. So this self-assertiveness is basically taking in charge your life back for yourself and saying that I am going to be determining my own values and speaking up for my own values when they matter the most. And so last and most importantly, self-assertiveness is the willingness to confront rather than evade from the challenges of life. So when you're able to really confront your challenges and take them head on, you're becoming a person that's more resilient and more confident, because you realize that you can tackle your own problems, and through overcoming your problems, you just become stronger and stronger in your self-esteem. So self-assertiveness actually requires the self-consciousness to be able to be aware of what challenges you have and to actively decide to take charge of those challenges. So self-acceptance is another pillar in the 6 pillars of self-esteem, and I feel like this pillar is one of the most important ones that I gained from this book. Self-acceptance is the orientation of self-value and self-commitment that derives from the fact that I am alive and conscious. So self-acceptance doesn't mean that I like every part about myself, but it simply means that I respect myself enough to admit that I am worthy of accepting myself. And it is the precondition for change and growth. You can only change and grow if you accept yourself first and foremost. If you're in denial of the truth, you can never really change the truth because you're not even aware of what the truth is. How can self-esteem not suffer if we are in a rejecting relationship to our own physical being? Is it realistic to imagine we can love ourselves while despising what we see in the mirror? A practice that Nathaniel Branden advertises in his book is to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning for 2 minutes every morning and to say this affirmation. Regardless of my flaws and imperfections, I unreservedly and completely accept myself. While doing so, you can talk in a slow manner while taking deep breaths. This helps your body to relax and really soak in all the information that you're saying to yourself. And he claims that his clients have been able to really improve themselves and feel better in terms of their acceptance toward themselves because of this affirmation that they say in the morning. So there's actually 3 layers to self-acceptance. The first layer is the orientation and respect for your self-value just because you're alive. The second aspect is to refuse to deny any part of yourself. And then the third layer is to become a friend to yourself because you want to be compassionate. So here are some things I learned about self-acceptance. You can be not accepting of your good just as much as your bad. You can deny your good traits just as much as you deny your bad traits. Self-acceptance just means that you take everything plainly as it is, instead of fooling yourself and saying that I'm bad at everything or I'm good at everything. Both of these things are not self-acceptance because you're turning a blind eye to some things that are in fact true in your reality. And an important thing to realize is that if you deny something, it will linger longer than if you just accept it in the first place. Acceptance is the key in order for you to really move on and to step into the next chapter. For example, earlier when we talked about self-responsibility, you can't really take responsibility for yourself until you come into acceptance that this is who you are and these are the things that I need to change. So the first step is to come into acceptance and then go into taking responsibility for your actions and for your goals. So another important pillar of the 6 pillars of self-esteem is living purposefully. And living purposefully is recognizing that work can actually help us with our self-esteem, not because we derive our identity from our work, but because work is something that we can use to channel our creativity and intelligence into. And through our work, we can find meaning and purpose. So a quote that I really like from this book is that it's not the kind of work that matters, but whether a person seeks work that offers an outlet for his or her intelligence, if the opportunity arises to do so. So living purposefully requires a really high level of consciousness because you have to recognize what your natural gifts and talents are and what you want to offer as an outlet for your intelligence and creativity. So living purposefully also means you're taking responsibility for formulating your goals and your purpose consciously so that you actually are able to go towards the things that you want to. So I'm starting to notice that all of these 6 pillars are kind of interrelated because if I'm not living purposefully, I cannot really take responsibility. And if I take responsibility, I start to live more purposefully. And here we also go back to the question of, is this matter within my direct volitional control? Or is it at least linked by a direct line of causality to my direct volitional control? If it isn't, then it is irrelevant to self-esteem and should be perceived to be, however painful or devastating the problem may be on other grounds. So if the problem is not something that's within your direct control, it is really not related to your self-esteem because self-esteem is always a matter of things that are within your own control. So if you're sad about something that's outside of your own control, it's a matter of learning to accept it and knowing that that's actually not even related to who you are because you were not the one that caused it. So you don't have to take responsibility for it. The only things that we have to take responsibility for are the things that we caused ourselves. So lastly, one of the 6 pillars of self-esteem is personal integrity. And this one comes last because it's about understanding how your values, your ideals, convictions, standards, beliefs, and behaviors are all integrated together so that you are a person of congruence rather than a person that is not up to their own word. So your words and behaviors match, and that's what integrity really is. You know yourself and you present the same self to the world as well. This one It really matters because even though sometimes we're the only one who knows how we're doing and whether we're keeping us aligned to our own values, you always know your scorecard with yourself. You're always in the judge room with yourself. And if you do something that really misaligns with your values, such as if you cheat on this one question on a test, even though your values is to make sure that you are always being honest and transparent, then you're gonna feel bad about yourself because that's one of your values and you were not congruent to your own values. So acting incongruous is actually something that you do for yourself to build yourself up, because your values are a key part of who you are. So when you determine your values and you stick to them, you actually build yourself up and you build yourself stronger, because that becomes a really strong, important part of your personality. So here are the 6 pillars of self-esteem: personal integrity, living purposefully, self-acceptance, self-awareness, self-responsibility, and self-assertiveness. Let me know which of these 6 pillars of self-esteem impacted you the most and which one you would like to practice more for 2021. As always, keep me updated, stay in touch, and I'll see you next week for more personal development videos.